The topic for the moment is how to go disruptive in influencer marketing. To begin the proceedings, may I please call upon stage Sudeep Lahiri, VP, Content and Strategy, One Digital Entertainment, to moderate this session. He will be joined by Prajakta Koli, content creator and actor, Anand Chakravarthy, marketing and media specialist, much over to you guys.
Check, check, check. Hello, everyone. How was lunch? How was the panel just after lunch? Okay, awesome. We have a bunch of very interesting people on my panel. And I would, to start with, I would really like all of them to just give a quick one-line introduction of who they are, what they do, and what they've been doing. Prajakta, do you want to go first?
Hello. Hi, everyone. I am Prajakta Koli. I am a content creator and actor. Very, very happy to be here. I have a channel called Mostly Sane. You should like and subscribe. Thank you.
Hi, Anand Chakravarthy. I've been in like advertising, marketing, media, now an entrepreneur. Pretty much a confused soul, but great to be here, and hopefully we'll share some interesting conversations.
Hi, I'm Vinay Pillai, and I head Clout, which is a creator management division of Pocket Aces, and super happy to be here.
Great slotting, Sudeep, post-lunch session. Yeah, my name is Digbijoy. Foodie, by the way, I also head marketing for Capital Foods. Thank you.
Awesome. Guys, we can try and look a little more lively. It'll be fun. We're going to have some good conversations today. To start with, so you know, we have a talent here. We have someone who manages talents. We have someone who is a brand, and we have someone who tells the brand what to do, right? We have four different perspectives on this panel today. I would start my conversation with Vinay. You know, Vinay, there has been a lot of conversations around creators, influencers, blah, blah, blah. What do you think when does a creator, in your opinion, start getting considered as an influencer?
Yeah, so very interestingly, I think it's now happening the opposite, right? I think everyone's an influencer before they, become reputed enough to become a creator. The aspiration for people is either to be a creator or an actor, or, be Prajakta and be both. But the influencer is kind of, not a great term now for a lot of creators. In the truest sense, when you've built a large enough audience and you can actually get to influence them to do things, to buy things, to think differently, to inspire them, that's when you should be an influencer. But somewhere in this whole process, I think that the reverse is happening, and people don't really want to be an influencer, they want to be a creator now. At least the good ones.
Okay, awesome. But really, is that what the trend is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of the top creators would like to be called an influencer. I think the assumption is if you're called micro-influencers, and then you eventually become a creator. But the truth is that, people are doing a lot of good. They are being able to reach out to the youth, which, in the internet age, I think the youth have stopped consuming push marketing. So pull marketing is the only way to get to them, and that's something that only influencers are being able to get to.
So I've had the privilege of being around Prajakta and working with Prajakta for a while now, and a lot of places which has started happening recently. When we go to an event, a lot of people come to Prajakta and say, "Hum bachpan se aapka content dekh rahe hain," and we just suddenly feel like, "Oh, it's been that long, is it?" So Prajakta has been one of the OG creators. She started creating content when content creators, the business started in India. And at that time, I don't think the word influencer existed. When did you, Prajakta, start getting considered as an influencer? And when did you see that change happen in your life?
I think for me, when I started realizing that my audience is communicating back with me, it's a conversation. Because पहले जब videos डालते थे तो मुझे लगता था कि मैं जो बोल रही हूँ वो बोल रही हूँ and it's getting delivered. I had not expected or had not seen a conversation to happen wherein if I'm talking about something, my comments say ki, oh my God, that's so true, that happened to me too. Or it says that, you know what, I don't think that happens to a lot of us. Or this was a great video, or this was not that great. I think when I started seeing this back and forth, I realized that this is more than it's not just a creator delivering something, it is more of a relationship that's going on. And that's when I realized that, oh, that means I have a reach, that means I have impact. And the minute you start realizing the responsibility that comes with impact, I think you get to a place where you're like, okay, now you influence. And it goes both ways. It's not always a great thing, like Vinay said. I mean, it's today I would like to say that being an influencer is a part of my job. It's not my entire job.
And when did you see this shift happening in your life? Was it very early in the times when you started creating
I like
content?
how Sudeep is asking this question like he doesn't know. He was with me. In 2015, I pissed a lot of Delhi people off with this video I did called Hilarious Words Delhiites Use. And when I did it, I was like, I said, हाँ है, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि है. But जब वो आई सारे शब्द दिल्ली वाले comments में, मैंने कहा, oh, ये तो है, पहुंच रहा है. So that's what I mean when I say that it's not always a great thing. You know, the term influencer has its black and white and its gray areas. So yeah.
Sure. Anand sir. Andy works. Okay, so Andy, you've been obviously working on marketing plans for various brands and various, companies that you've helped build their brands. When you are, I mean, obviously now there is a trend of a lot of marketing that goes, that happens via influencers. If you were to present an influencer marketing plan to a brand, what would the metrics that you would take into consideration for this plan when you take it to a brand?
Okay, this is a tough one because the truth is that the biggest question that you get asked today in any client's office is that, how do you measure the ROI of influencer marketing? And the truth is that globally it's a challenge. It's a massive challenge, and to my mind, one of the dangerous or maybe the inflection point of how this marketing lever will grow or not grow will be on how brands and agencies and the ecosystem is able to come together and crack ROI and measurement well, right? So the truth is that when we look at influencer marketing, is it a part of your mix? Yes, it is. Is it measurable to a certain extent? Yes, you're still looking at, some brands look at very basic metrics like likes, engagement, tweets, retweets, etc. Some brands look at, what is your earned reach through an influencer program. What I'm really excited about is social commerce. I think social commerce, to my mind, is where ROI measurement is, that question comes to an end, right? And we were talking about earlier with Sudeep about, two influencers in China, Austin and Zia. And on Singles Day, each one of them did $1 billion worth of GMV on one day through social commerce. Now, for any brand who is actually getting their product sold through them, that's fantastic ROI, right? Because you know exactly how much you paid them, how much they sold, what's your gross margin. I'm hoping that we'll see the evolution of social commerce in India because to my mind, that will answer the question of measurement really well. And I think it's an important thing to keep in mind because any marketing channel which has not been measured has not grown beyond a point. Out of home, radio, etc., etc. You can see there's a list of all of them. Some of them have died. Some of them just stagnate where they are. Right?
No, sure, but that comes after a campaign has happened where you measure the success of the campaign. My question is more, Andy, where you are taking a plan, you are taking an influencer plan to a brand, and whatever small that a share of the pie that is of the marketing plan, the entire marketing plan that you propose. When you talk about influencers and taking an influencer plan, what is it that you keep in mind while making this plan with, say, 10 influencers, 50 influencers, 100 influencers, whatever that number is? What are the things that you look at in a creator before saying that, okay, these are the 10 creators that I'm going to shortlist for this campaign?
So I think there's some amount of sophistication coming there. So there's a lot of platforms now which allow you to choose from a plethora of influencers, and you can immediately look at what kind of audiences do they service, what kind of markets do they service, what kind of engagement levels have they had, etc. So, for example, Omnicom has a platform called Omnifluence, which actually does exactly this. The second, so I think that's the starting point, is identifying the set of influencers which are relevant to a specific brand and the specific brand challenge, right? You have to start with what is it your client or the brand wants to achieve. Then it comes down to selecting influencers, and then within that you then start looking at what can each of them do. Typically, where do we look at influencer marketing? It's never top of the funnel, because awareness building is, to my mind, foolhardy to look at an influencer. It's more about driving consideration and potentially driving people who are already interested in a brand down the funnel to actually buy it. So from a strategy perspective, it's always mid and bottom of the funnel. And from a, like I said, from a measurement perspective, it's always who are the audiences, what are the kind of audiences they speak to. And the good part is there's lots of data available now through platforms, which is very easy to do planning.
Sure. Sir, Digbijoy sir, again, you've been working in the brand side for the past 20 years, where you started off in an agency and you hated it. We were talking before this.
I spilled the beans.
And yeah, you despised the agency culture and you started working with a brand. Obviously, things have evolved.
Get me a lot of brickbats to start off. It was supposed to. Okay.
So,
All right.
I mean, things have obviously changed over the years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe 20 years back, your focus was TV and print.
Right.
Right now, you have so many more mediums to communicate your brand message amongst the masses.
Yeah.
So, is influencer marketing a part of your marketing matrix? Is it there? And if yes, then what is the kind of share that it dominates right now in your entire marketing plan?
Okay. So the answer is two-part. No and yes. We don't do influencer marketing. We collaborate with co-creators. First, clear. Yeah. Because you can't readily piggy bank on an influencer marketing and push your message through. People are very smart, right? And it cuts across. What we typically do is we follow a very classic model. Okay. We want people to notice our product, think about it, and ultimately try our product. We are a mass brand. At Capital Foods, everything is mass, right? We are not for a tier 1 city or tier 2 city. We want everyone to try our product. So obviously, that's part of our marketing plan. But what we do is we typically divide it, right? So there are broad 3 pillars. So for example, if we want to get into a new category or a new market, we will figure out on a definite ROI basis. If co-creators help us, give us that cut through, no brainer, we will go through. Second is if we want to sort of push our product knowledge amongst a certain TG, right? Like we did a big campaign, Chatura Challenge, Prajakta was part of it. No brief went from us, right? We gave you the product, have fun, right? Yeah, so if we want to increase consumption among the TG, it sort of delivers number. Third, what at times we do is we have very channel specific activity, okay? So for example, I want my product to volumes to, or trials to go through the roof to a certain channel, or say e-com. Then I'll again tie up with content creator because the journey becomes the purchase journey becomes very easy. But again, we sort of divide it into 2 parts. So one are the macro content creators, like Prajakta, top of the tree, right? She, at moment's notice, gives you like millions of reach, right? Cut through across region. Then the second set you have, which is really sprung up of late with this side hustle and gig economy culture, yeah, which is the buzzword, right? Yeah, is now people are getting into creating regional flavor, right? So someone sitting at some town, I don't know how many people know, there's a town called Begusarai, yeah? You will have regional marketeers with great traction. Likewise, our campaigns at one point of time is action both internationally as well, right? So as of now, I'm doing a campaign in Gorakhpur. The same campaign, a version of it is live in Toronto. So I'll tie up with someone who has reach in Toronto, and people sort of buy into that message. It needs to be a seamless fit. Weightage-wise, actually, there can't be a preconceived notion, right? So you have your 4 media choices. He rightly pointed out, so if you can tell my name, you can say Digbijoy Chakraborty, bracket, ROI in all caps, yeah? So my trip in life is ROI, yeah? You have to suggest ROI. Everything else is just GAN, right? So we have these media choices. We pick which one gives you that great ROI. That's about it. Yeah. So it's every time you take a call, it's not, you can't, so what happens a lot of the times, again, I will again face some brickbats, but I see amongst my peers and colleagues, right? Influencer marketing bada interesting hai, karte hain, right? It doesn't work like that. You have a brand message, you have a certain brand, you know its appeal, and then you devise the media choices. If your content creator plan fits in, go by it. If your print fits in, go by it. If your OTT advertising fits in, go by it. Simple as that. But definitely, from an ROI point of view, if it is done right, gives us great cut through.
Fair enough, makes sense.
Yeah.
Vinay, I mean, you've obviously been doing this for a while as well. Like, you've been working with creators, you've been working with brands, and you've seen influencer branded activities happen. How have they evolved over time? Like, when you started off, what was the scenario then and versus what is it now?
Yeah, and I think that, the evolution's pretty straightforward in the sense where you've seen where we've reached now, right? But I think the next 5 years are very important. So there's a sexy, exciting part, and then there's a boring part, and we need to solve both. Maybe the boring one even more. So the exciting part is, I think, for the first time, you've given rise to talent and celebrity that actually have their own distribution, right? Otherwise, you always depended on a producer to, grow you, or a channel to cast you, all of those things. So you've already seen what Kylie's done with makeup. She had a consistent $50 million advertising, reach on makeup for 3 years. So she went and created a makeup brand and sold it for $1 billion. I think that's what's going to come next. And that's the exciting, fun part. Where, I'm sure if Prajakta goes through her analytics, there must be some categories that are very, very strong, happened over years. Like at some point in time, create your own private label. The boring part is on scalability. See, the thing is, even today, to put out an influencer video or content creator video, the amount of people who have to talk from start to end is a lot. There's a brand, there's an agency, there's a talent manager, there's the talent, there's editors, there's too much work in that. So that's what slows it down more than anything else. It's not that people don't want to do it more, people want to do it faster. Like if you do a digital ad or Facebook ad, you go buy inventory, you're reaching out to a fixed number of people. So I think the ROI of influencer marketing when done right is much better than digital advertising. The problem is the scale and the scalability and how we'll solve that to become more turnkey, more faster. And it's boring, but like that's what will make this larger and grow.
But Prajakta, for you, like, you obviously get a ton of brand briefs that come your way, right? And you don't always necessarily take over all of the briefs and say yes to all of them. So before saying yes, because again, a lot of creators need to be authentic. They need to be true to their core to take a brand message out to the market. What are the things that you take into consideration before saying yes to a certain brand, campaign, or an endorsement or anything as such?
I think not a lot. I think all creators, and I'll speak for creators, I feel like a lot of our brand value as a creator depends on authenticity. So I would like to say that I have to be authentic with my brand collabs. I think one of the main discussions that we have internally is also, is this something I have used already, or is this something that I can use? Is this a fit into my life? Like, for example, I've been working with Gillette for over 3 years now, and I remember when that conversation came through, it was so seamless because I have been using the product way before it came to us, and it's a very seamless fit. It becomes easier for me to talk about it because it comes from personal experience. It gets easier for me, for a lack of a better word, to sell it. But at the same time, I have had experiences which fortunately have been rare, where I have kind of stepped out of my zone and tried to do something new with a brand that I wasn't using before, but I tried to make it a part of my life and I failed at it. So there have been these lessons that have come, and because again, being a creator, there is no blueprint. Nobody knows how to actually go about these things. We are all kind of learning on our own as we go ahead. So for me, for the authenticity, yes, does it fit? Also having brand ethics in mind, there are a few issues that I speak about very openly on my channel that are very, very close to my heart, and I want to know if that is something that's compatible with the brand. Like, I know that I cannot be someone who speaks for against body shaming and then goes on to speak about a fairness cream because there's a lot of money. It doesn't make sense. I mean, that kind of takes away from all the credibility that I have spent the last 7-8 years building. So having that in mind, also another thing that I learned from Untitled Entertainment, from Gurpreet, from Shabir, from Sudeep even, is that when I started creating content, we used to get a lot of these brand collab requests. And when you start off as a content creator, you don't really make a lot of money. And I used to see the emails and I'd be like, why are we not doing this? They're giving me so many thousand rupees. Like, I should do this. I'd like to do this. And I remember GP and Shabir and Sudeep telling me that, wait for it, hold your horses, build a platform, build build your brand ethics, build your brand personality, reach a point where you know which direction you want to take your collabs in. And I think that is an advice that has stayed with me always. I mean, we still make our mistakes with brands sometimes. Most times it's great, and I'm very, very fortunate that as a creator, I've actually had the pleasure of working with brands who kind of meet me halfway, because I have creator friends who have told me horror stories of brand collabs going horribly wrong, and I'm really grateful that doesn't happen to me very often. But every now and then that it does happen, it is a big, big lesson that we kind of keep in mind going forward. So it really is a whole kind of ecosystem of not losing sight of who you are as a creator and who your audience is looking forward to watching and spending their time watching. Also who your audience is. I think keeping that in mind makes sense.
Sure. And once you've said yes to a brand, what's your process after that?
I mean, I think it's never a discussion as to कि अच्छा आपने करना है चलो करते हैं. It's never that. It's always okay. What is the product? What idea do you have in mind? And I think the signing of the agreement is actually the last thing that happens, because we discuss scripts and we discuss delivery and we discuss how we want to shoot this, we discuss placement, everything is discussed, and when everything is on the table is when we decide, okay, now we'll do it. There have been so many times when we've actually had full-on conversations with brands and then it didn't work out in the end because we're like, it's not something we can go forward with. So everything happens before I say yes to the brand actually.
And sir, like, do you see, Andy, do you see brands getting more and more inclined towards influencer campaigns? Is that happening more? Like you said, it could just be a fad or a FOMO. But do you see that happening more, where a brand coming and saying that, listen, cut your budgets for print and TV and I want to do more influencer work?
Yeah, I think it's happening, but I think FOMO is still a big driver, right? I mean, the fact is that every managing director and CMO or senior person in an organization will have teenage kids who go and one day tell them that, you know, I follow this influencer, and the next day the marketing person is called up and said, "Inke saath kyun nahi kar rahe?" Or somebody shows them a campaign. So I think FOMO drives a lot of it because, like I said, the truth is that, look, we are a massive country, right? We're not, I mean, everybody knows India and Bharat. And the truth is that brands want to reach out to millions of customers who maybe we don't even understand as brand custodians. And a lot of times I find a lot of influencer marketing campaigns somewhere missing the point. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to people sitting in South Bombay and South Delhi? Is that relevant? Look at the product. We have audiences across the country. How is this reaching out to them? So I do think that at times a lot of brands are getting into it because it's the thing to be done. Does it work? Of course it works. It works when it's done right, like Prajakta was saying. When there's a great fit between the audience of the influencer, how the influencer treats the brief, and the brand fit. Is it natural, seamless? Most importantly, is it authentic? Because consumers are very smart. They can read through bullshit very, very easily, right? And we are seeing that to a large extent in the boycott culture. I mean, I wouldn't say the boycott culture is authentic, but the truth is they're calling out bullshit the way they see it. And I don't think the power is in the hands of creators and marketers anymore. I think the power is firmly in the hands of consumers, and either you understand them really well. If you don't, then no matter how big an influencer you use, how much ever money you put, it's never going to work.
But do you see that trend changing? Like you were, again, we were talking a lot before this panel happened, which is where these discussions are coming from. Do you see that changing? Like you were saying that it's already changing in the West, the entire influencer bubble.
Right, I think that in the West there's a big question mark now. The more I talk to colleagues across different countries, people are questioning how do you measure the ROI and should I put more money in it or not. It's very simple, it's as simple as that. For every marketer like a Digbijoy, they want to grow. They want to grow their business. That's the mandate on them. And marketers today are under massive pressure from their CFOs and CEOs to get more, bang for the buck. So his budgets are not increasing, but expectations are. So when you do something like influencer marketing, which has potential, unless you're able to really put the finger on it and say, okay, this has led to this either increase in sales or consideration or some form of, what you call North Star metric that the company is interested in, after some point of time, investments will slow down. I think, obviously in India, we are at a nascent stage where it's growing. But I think the danger we have is that if we don't answer the obvious question, we'll potentially see us hitting that same point of inflection that Western markets are seeing.
Fair. Sir, Digbijoy sir, my last question to you before I ask one question which everyone answers together. For you, I want to ask you that when, we've just had the opportunity of doing a campaign with you where we activated about 3,000 odd influencers, right? Which included micro, medium size and macro influencers. And obviously you take these to your management and say, this is the best eclectic mix of people that will now talk about my brand or my chutney challenge that is about to happen. How do you decide that, okay, this is my right mix? कि हाँ ठीक है, macro से ये 10 जन चलेंगे? Because again, you have plenty of options. So how do you decide the right mix?
First, Sudeep had lot many sleepless nights because of the campaign, the entire team. Yeah. He won't say it upfront, so I'll say it. See, the thing is, you can't really put one cloth fits all approach, right? So first, for marketeers, he pretty much cleared the JD for me. The job description of a marketeer is pretty clear, thanks to Anand. I think you need to know your market, right? That's the most important thing. For example, what we typically do is, if I want to mount an campaign which is pan-India basis, right? I will pick content creators who have a wide reach, right? I'll use this jargon, I'll carpet bomb, first say 7 days, 10 days, depending on my budget and my target. Then I will sort of amplify this with say state or market specific content creators. Yeah, because I know there's a correct fitment. So background work is very, very important. And I see, he's correct, I see a lot of trend in this industry where it's not only FOMO. The thing is, I have seen these 10 guys very popular, let's go with them. You can't really choose like that, right? It is as essential as making a typical media choice. You need to know who delivers what is their authentic novelty factor, what do they stand for, right? I as a food brand can't go with a guy who talks about, or a girl or a co-creator who talks about fashion someday, who talks about food hacks someday, who talks about automobile hacks someday, right? I need to know which is my target audience and which kind of influencer cuts through. A lot of background work goes. So likewise, my team also has sleepless nights, both sides, right? So we pretty much figure out, we divide, right? So we divide influencers vis-a-vis the market, and then we stagger it, like we've done, right? So we stagger it, and obviously monitoring becomes very important. So for a co-creator-led campaign, you literally have to monitor the result every day. It has to be very flexible. It probably is the most flexible media choice you have to make as a marketeer. Yeah? Once you roll it, if you think there needs to be a second post, you need to give a rebuttal, you need to go through the comments, it has to be 24/7. So everyone has to be on it. And second is, metrics needs to be very clear, okay? Yeah, at one set for me, it is obviously the kind of unpaid media I'm getting, the organic reach I'm getting, the view rate, the cut-through I get. And second is, yes, typically likes, comment, share, but you want to know how is your content multiplying. Yeah? If it is an interesting co-created content, if it's multiplying, then you sort of know, okay, justice is done. Is the answer too well or my time is up? Okay, no,
so they're doing the Oscar format where your time is up and you guys can...
Good cue, thank you.
You guys can keep quiet now is what they're basically trying to say. Anyway, just before going, I have one last question. Let's make it quick. It's one question which all you guys can answer from your perspectives, from like a brand perspective, agency perspective, a creator management firm, and obviously a creator. कि मुझे ना अभी एक तोड़ू influencer campaign बनानी है.
Okay.
I want to make a fantastic disruptive influencer campaign, right?
Yeah.
That's the viral video banani. So
you sound like a brand, right?
We have to make an amazing influencer campaign. In a few words, what are the ingredients that you would need to make this campaign?
I think I'll have to answer it first because most likely it's me and my ilk who says this. So first is content. It is content. Content, simple. Yeah, all the jargon aside, all the gyan aside. It is a very personal medium. It's just one swipe away, right? And there are so many researchers tell you, people don't even wait for 3 seconds to change it to the next content. The content has to be interesting. Then comes your smart SEO tagging and all the paraphernalia, right? That's the boring bit. That's the digital team will take care of, right? Content is very important. Second is the seamless fitment of your message. Very, very important. And again, I can't repeat it enough. It's a lot of trial and error, right? At the outset, sitting in an AC office, you can't think, I'm launching a campaign, this will give me great numbers in Central India, Northeast. Doesn't work like that. Yeah? So content, and you have to be very on top of the game in terms of how it is delivering. That's about it. Yeah? And every jargon aside is for the boardroom that you do annually.
Yeah, no, bang on. I think the one thing though that most people don't agree on is like the objective. So if your objective is awareness or objective is like, explaining more about the product, like establish that right from the start so that every other decision you take on the campaign like goes from that lens.
I think I'll start with consumers and who are you talking to and which influencers mattered to them.
Okay. I think for me, and I'll speak as a creator because, well, I honestly think that it's very important, even for creators as creators, to understand two parts of a brand collab. Number one, that the brand has come to us for a reason. It's because we understand our audience, we know what our reach and our impact is, we know what can get engagement up, we know what can please our audience, also what can piss them off. But at the same time also understand that the brand comes from a place of knowing their side of the deal, knowing what has worked for them in advertising marketing so far, knowing what is important for them to be communicated through content. So for me, a disruptive branded collab video would be meeting midway with a brand where the brand trusts me enough with my decisions and input towards content, but I also trust the brand enough to let them give me feedback creatively at times to kind of meet midway, because there's investment on both sides, so might as well make it a marriage than just like humne paisa diya na to karke dikha. So yeah, it's easier like
Okay, cue music. Thank you guys. Had a great time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much to one and all. I would like to request you to please wait. And I would like to call upon stage Franklin Toscano, founder, CTO, IWMBuzz, to give away the mementos for the session.